Hi everyone, this is AC7WH. Let's take a look at my latest antenna design. This is a very simplified vertical, and I am using the heavy-duty POTA33 carbon fiber mast. Let's see how it looks up here. There's the and there's the top of the antenna. So I have 25 feet of coax here, the same 25 feet I usually use. And that is well above the bottom of my roof line. And so that way when I'm using high power, it's not right on top of me. And for those antenna aficionados out there, the base of a vertical antenna heading straight down is going to put out very little RF, and so that way it's a lot safer compared to a broadside RF. I do still plan to do some modeling to make sure that I am in RF safety compliance and so forth, but since I don't use compression normally with my single sideband, it's a very low duty cycle as well, even though I typically use around 800 watts or so peak power. Okay, so that's how I have things set up with the coax. And let's go ahead and see some other angles here. Just got this set up today. My dad gave me a hand. Let's see if I can get a little bit of a wider view there. So there's the and there's the top of the antenna. It's just some 14 gauge wire that I have been using with some insulation on it. So you'll notice there are no radials. Well, if you look here, there's a gutter there, there's a gutter there, and as I've mentioned in previous videos, there's wiring that goes up to the fan there. There's wiring that goes into the pillars. In fact, I'm plugged into the wiring there. I don't know if you can see it, but there is one of those snap-on RF chokes right there at the outlet point. There's another outlet over there, and then controls for the fan over on that pillar. So there's a lot of wiring and so forth, so I don't want to run a radial and then put it just right next to the house wiring, especially since high voltages are generated and all of that. I feel like it's going to not be worth it, and I wanted something that I can put up and take down as essentially a portable antenna, because here in this relatively small yard, or as Great Britain might say, this garden, there is not a whole lot of space, so I don't want to have something permanently set up that's in the way, but eventually I could do something like that. But anyhow, cable goes out from the shack up to the and then that drives the driven element there, and I'm glad I have that current choke, that one-to-one balun or to prevent a lot of common mode coming down through the coax. And then just inside the window there, I have another RF choke to choke off any current that is generated on the coax between the RF choke up there and then the entry into the shack. Just inside the window, I have the other snap-on RF choke. So that's my setup. Super simple. We'll see what it gets me. But the antenna wire, by the way, is approximately 18 feet, which would be roughly 5.5 meters. And so on the 6 meter band, it's depending on what part of the 6 meter band, like on the shorter wavelength portion around 54 megahertz, that would be roughly one wavelength. On the 10 meter band, it's approximately a half wavelength. And on the 20 meter band, it would be approximately a quarter wavelength. And on the 40 meter band, it would be about 1/8 of a wavelength. All right, well, I will leave you there. 73.